Can you tell us a poem of poetry?
I'm gonna do Keats. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms? Alone and palely loitering, the sedge has withered from the lake and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woebegone? The squirrel's granary's full and the harvest done. I'm stopping there.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Get Ripped, Get Tipped. We are here with Sophia Johnson in the house, actor, comedian, poet, and a hopeless romantic.
Now this is what I call a wedding.
This is my daughter, Hannah.
Oh,
How does it work?
I'm not drunk enough to know if this is good weird or bad weird.
You're painting without any canvas.
About the advance.
Do you do a lot of workout at home right now?
No.
No?
So I do yoga, but the problem is because before the pandemic I go to a studio and do a class, but now I'm at home so I just kind of roll around. I'm very impressed with your guys' whole setup, man. It's great.
Hey, it's all the team right there.
Yeah.
Team
Go
right
team go.
When did you find out you were funny?
I can think of two, when I was, a kid, I remember being like, man, I've got to memorize as many knock-knock jokes.
Oh.
It's if I ever need them at a party,
Was that like your ammunition going in? Like that's how you're gonna win the crowd over?
I definitely remember that, and I definitely remember being a teenager and being with my friend at a party, and no one was really talking to us, and then we just started being really funny, I guess, and then everyone was sort of crowding around us, and I was like, oh, this is a cool thing.
And this is back home. And where was this back then?
This is in New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that must explain the Power Rangers Dino Charge credit.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
why our team back home, research and development, we looked that up.
Nice. Dino Charge.
Dino Charge.
Most kids, I think, probably think they're funny, but I think when you realize, oh, this is working,
Was it your friends or your whoever would listen to your jokes and be like, hey, you're funny?
My brother was the first person actually. I'm very close with my elder brother, Ronald. He's 4 years older than me, and we did everything together as kids and as teenagers. But he was one of the first people that was like, Sophia, man, have you ever thought about being a stand-up comedian?
Oh.
And I was quite young, and I was like, no. It didn't seem, comedy's not something that you don't go to a club, look at comedians and be like, oh man, wouldn't that be, you're I'm just gonna have a normal life, have a nice house, and then you start doing comedy, you're like, it's all over!
Oh. Let's bring it back to your first time with comedy, because there's always somebody that tells you you're funny, and it always sparks something.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that you never believed it at first, and then you came to Canada. When did you come to Canada from New Zealand?
A few years ago.
Let's actually speed up the shit.
No. But
Go a little lower too.
But I started comedy in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see.
A long time back. I went to a comedy club. I actually went to the comedy club first when I was 17, whatever, and I think we just snuck in because one of the comics asked me out on a date or something, and I think he thought I was older. So then we snuck in, and I was like, this is cool, And then it wasn't until a year or so later, I'd come off soap I was working on, and I was looking for stuff, and I went to the comedy club one night, and I saw, I think just an amateur night.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty fun. And then I just got up the next week. I drove with Nezal, can I? And I just wrote some jokes down. I was working in a kitchen, a factory kitchen, which was really hard work. But I'd always tell jokes while we were rolling out crackers and
So that was your practice?
Yeah, just banter.
Are you feeling the burn right now? You feeling totally fine right now?
I see fine.
I think we're going fast enough. Let's go lower.
Oh god, it's good. Now I'm gonna get the burn.
I feel the burn. I'm burning turning here.
Yeah, burn turn.
So you use your kitchen factory as almost like a playground.
I guess so. Well, we were just so it's so depressing, and there was no windows. We were in a basement place, so it was so hard. So we would you have to talk and you have to make jokes with each other to just survive the day, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise you're oh, this is. So I would just talk a lot and we'd laugh, and the more laughs we could get, the less
The more oxygen
depressed we would be. Yeah. So then when I went, I was oh, this is kind of what I do just during the day. And then yeah, I had like a really good set the first time.
Let's bring it back to your first set. Oh, let's keep going. I ain't losing
Oh,
yet.
okay.
If you want to give up, we'll get Michael to give me the check mark.
Oh,
But I'm okay. Gotta finish this
Okay, yeah.
conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Let's bring it back to the very first time, because we have viewers watching out there
Yeah.
who are thinking of doing comedy
Yeah.
or have always thought about, it could be in a very similar situation as you are,
Yeah.
having their friends and family tell them they're funny. But that pinnacle moment of, I'm gonna go do first time stand-up,
Yeah.
like, that week, like when I did my first time, I was scared shitless. Like
Yeah.
I canceled on my
Really?
my first time. So did you go through any of these mental struggles yourself? Just
I
moments.
did, but I think I was dumb. I think like, as I said, I come from acting, I come off like a TV show in New Zealand, and I kind of was like, I didn't realize what comedy was. Like I didn't know, like I didn't really know much about it. And I was just like, oh, this seems like a fun thing to do. I didn't kind of, like, because now my advice to someone else would be like, don't do your first time at the club, go to some open mics so that by the time the manager sees you, you know some shit and you're good and you can make a good first impression. But I think like, for me, I was just kind of like, oh, whatever. But I think that made me better because I wasn't nervous.
Oh.
Because I was like,
Was
oh.
it a 3-minute set or a 5-minute set?
I think it was 5. But then, so this is the funny thing, is I didn't know that comedians kept their sets. So, so he was like, oh, you did a great job. Going back the next week, and I wrote a new 5, you know? And then that didn't go great. Like that's when I had my first like bad set, and I was like, well, my second set was not like my first at all. And he was like, why did you throw away material? And I was like, oh, I get to keep it. Like I just didn't. But I think like one thing, which is maybe kind of an interesting story, is like our school speech contests were crazy.
Your speech contest?
At like my high school.
Yeah.
So I grew up on like an island that was like quite a crazy school. But like,
oh my God.
the thing about it was like,
Let's go faster.
speeches were huge.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it was like 11, the speech contest for the seniors when I watched it. And one of the guys like ripped his shirt off and was like, if I fuck me, I fuck me my way. And like, it would just get like, it was banana. It was like this. And then he's like, people get like suspended, like going nuts. Like, so the standard, I think I won. So that's when I was like, because I was very shy prior to that. I just remember watching that and being like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So it was you being able to perform, making audiences laugh, what kind of gave you that?
Yeah, well, I just and sometimes people do them seriously or dramatically, but it was like a big thing in our school. Like people would just go nuts.
So you being on stage, how long have you been on stage for now?
Doing stand-up?
Yeah.
I think it's coming up to 10 years.
10 years, okay. So can you tell us what is the worst experience you've ever had on stage?
I mean, I've had a lot. I've bombed lots. I've done lots of bad gigs.
How about
Probably the worst.
How about we just do regular push-ups?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even doing that.
I can't even do it too. That was a stupid idea, Milton.
I can't even open a jar.
I can't even laugh.
Okay, so my worst experience while I'm doing the hardest exercise.
Oh. Yeah, you just did. It's a tough one. Robert Olson here too. Not easy.
That guy, yeah, I can beat up that guy. I was doing a gig in like a small town kind of, in New Zealand, and was at like a RSA, like an old club, and then as I was walking to stage, this guy just yelled out, "Next!"
Oh shit.
I guess because I was a girl, or I don't know, or maybe not that. Maybe just because I looked young and weak and not funny. It may have not been a sex thing at all. But that was, and I was like, I'll show this guy, but then I didn't show him.
Whoa.
Then I proceeded to not win over the crowd and just kind of prove him right.
Did you feel? Well, I can only imagine what was going through your head. Like you're already coming on stage, you're already nervous, and then having some fucker heckle you. What was going through your mind? Like, did you just try to ignore it? Oh my God!
I think at first No, you win this. I'm not even doing them. I'm just kind of going like this. I've been cheating this whole time.
Hey, at least we have an emitter. I know you had one when you were here at the office, but this guy was hitting on you.
Really?
Right, remember that guy? He was totally hitting on you.
I don't recall that.
Okay.
Or maybe, I'm pretty sure I was married.
Yeah. No, this was like before COVID. Like, I believe you were married.
I just got married.
Oh.
I don't think I read it as hitting on me. I probably just read it as like someone trying to be funny or something. And also like, one of the things I'm trying to work on, one of the things I'm trying to work on is being a better listener when I'm on stage, because sometimes I don't always hear what people say, or like necessarily they're in the back, or it's muffled, or with the like. So I'm trying to before COVID anyway, I was trying to work on making sure I heard, because like once I was like, where are you from? And I heard like Scotland when he was actually trying to say France, or I don't know, like. So I'm trying to be like, is my hearing? Okay, we're gonna stop.
Okay, we're gonna stop.
You win, because I'm not even.
We're gonna stop right there. Okay, let's cut. Back on the heckle thingy machine.
Okay, yeah.
Now, so new comedians, maybe experienced, professional. We always learn from everybody. So, what is your best advice for a comedian that's coming on stage and he's getting or she is getting heckled?
Oh, getting heckled? I was already thinking of like
advice for comments. Oh yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
No, we got. I got on this. If you're getting heckled, don't freak out. Like I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they come down too hard on the heckler, and then it's awkward. Especially if you've kind of invited the crowd a little bit, then like, hey, if you've started chatting to them, and then someone is getting a little too chatty, you've kind of got to take responsibility. Like, I've seen people just cut down hecklers too brutally.
Was that you? Have you done it before?
Probably. I mean, gosh, over the gigs over the years, but I think the best thing is like to just kind of relax with it and be like, oh yeah, this is like a funny thing. To not get too angry or annoyed, or like you just kind of gotta let it roll, and then if it's most reasonable people, if kind of asked to stop, will stop, unless they're kind of beyond the pale of that. In which case, it's not much you can,
What can you say is your stand-up workout regimen? Like, do you have what do you do to stay in the game? Like, do you wake up in the morning?
Wake up at 2,
freak
out.
Do you have a joke
alarm?
alarm?
And go, fuck.
Like, do you carry yourself a joke book around? Like, do you?
So I mainly use my phone, and that's across the board. Like, I think most of the process of stand-up isn't between you and the paper. It's just kind of in your head as you're walking around. The other day, my friend was showing me off his new speaker, and was like, oh, isn't it? And I was thinking oh, guys love sound systems. And I just kind of made a note in case I could think of something funny around that.
With sound speakers?
Yeah, that one's probably gonna end up on the cutting room floor, which is why I'm sharing. But there might just be something in your brain that goes, the best comedy regimen is just regularly getting up.
Getting up, on the stage?
Getting up on the stage. I think that's why the pandemic's been so special. Like Seinfeld says, if you're serious about it, you're at a mic every night, I was okay, I want to be on a minimum of 3 nights a week. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere,
So you're keeping that consistency going.
I think it's because often, sometimes you'll come up with a great joke, just walking down the stairs to the show, Once you're there, your brain goes into the zone.
Let's get a little lower with those lunges. Your knee has to go.
Why is that?
Your knee has to bend. There you go. Now no wonder why you're
winning.
Yeah. I'm freaking dying here.
Cobra Kai. Win at any cost.
Yeah. So you got this consistency regimen.
I think it's about consistency, yeah.
Yeah, 3 days a week.
At a minute. So that's if I've got a busy week with acting or whatever, I'll still try and just go to an open mic and mess around,
Let's talk about your acting a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
Because I would only imagine having an agent, because, for anyone that's not an actor out there, the thing with Act Life is from your agents, you could get an audition the night before or 2 days before and be like, what? 7 pages memorized. Go! And how do you struggle? How do you deal with that?
Learning lots of lines.
Like, while you're saying, okay, Monday night, Sophia, you're up at 9:15.
I think it's hard. I think honestly the best thing to do is to not try and compare yourself to people with normal jobs. Because I think that can be hard. Like, I think, you know, you're like, oh, my friends are going out to a thing tonight, but I've got to stay up till 1 a.m. You know, and I think it's got me in the past where I've been like, man, I'm on set at 7 a.m. I've got to weep and beg for my life. My roommate hasn't even woken up yet. And then she just has to, write a bit of code. And I think, which is hard, so I'd rather do my thing. But I think, like, I was reading a book recently, actually, where it's like, if you're an actor, like, accept that you're crazy. I think accepting the fact that your life is not going to be the same as your friends that aren't in arts. You're going to be poorer at times. You're going to be busier. You're going to have to pull an all-nighter. Like, and one of my acting coaches in Vancouver says, like, you can always sleep the next day.
Yeah.
So
or in your trailer.
It's better to stay up. Yeah, I've slept on set before. I've curled up behind the cords, literally when I was on the sofa cover. But I think it's better to stay up all night and feel good about your audition and have a sleep in the afternoon. You know? I've stayed up all night for worse reasons, you know? So it's like, you just do what you have to.
That's a great part of the show is listening, and I think the last 10 seconds I just fried out there. What makes a joke funny?
Oh God. I don't know. If the audience laugh at it, I guess. I feel like he's one of those really hot guys where you're like, do the thing where you don't talk. I love it when you do that. He was my Canadian dream though. I was like, I'm gonna get off the airplane, Trudeau's gonna be there, shirtless. With a necklace he bought from Shambhala. I mean, honestly, some stuff that you don't think will be funny is funny, and I mean, that's a big. I mean, there's so many theories, right?
Have you ever thought of a joke that was just absolutely so funny to a friend that you went on stage and it just totally bombed?
Oh, every night, man. Like, it's not even a friend. Like, it's to me. Like, in my own mind, I once wrote this really elaborate joke about cuckoo clocks, and I was like, cuckoo clocks, and like the premise was like cuckoo birds are really obnoxious. Like in Germany in the forest, they're like cuckoo, cuckoo, and I was like, what guy was like, man, I just had a brilliant idea for a clock, but then it never got a laugh, and I worked it for like months beyond I should have, because I was like, God, because I was giggling to myself.
And when you find it's funny, and you
But
really
no
believe
one else would.
Oh God! Oh fuck!
I just let it go. I just let it go.
This is a stupid person.
Yes!
Oh my God.
I told him a bad joke and then he just fell. Psych!
Is she still going?
My parents are both poets, right? They're like performance poets. So like, this is like fine. Like, I'm like, guys, the real money's in stand-up.
Your parents said that?
No. Like I think when both the parents are kind of honest, they're like, all right. No, they were always pro. I think because my husband's a stand-up too, right? You know I'm married to Chris, right?
I know it's a guy.
Yeah.
I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, so I'm married to a stand-up comic as well.
Is he also from New Zealand?
Oh, my shoulders hurt.
Oh, wait, you don't have to put your shoulder up. I did that just for fun.
Oh, so what do I have to do?
Just keep it up. Oh, I win!
You won that one. You won that one?
Well, we're going to continue on this conversation. Now, you mentioned your parents were a poet.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell us a poetry?
A
poem. A poem. Tell us a poem. Hey, wait a second. Get that hand up. Get that. Okay, no, just like this. There you go. Okay, can you tell us a poem?
Okay, I've got one that's very appropriate to right now, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna do Keats. This is Keats.
Okay.
Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woebegone? The squirrel's granary's full, and the harvest done. I'm stopping there.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one cares about poetry anymore.
Hey, we all care about poetry. Okay.
Yes! Strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
When you're on stage, Sophia,
Yes.
you are yourself, which is your personality, what you're doing right now.
No! No.
No.
I
Do
am.
you find yourself having to uplift that personality on stage?
Honestly, you know, I don't know. Maybe if you've got my personality, just like change it. I don't know. I mean, most of the comics that I think are really doing great, other than some amazing character comics I know, like, you know, I know like British comics that do a French accent or have a whole shtick. I think mostly you're trying to get to as much your true self as possible. Like, I think that's what's most interesting. And
Or do you get this chance to bring this personality when you're acting? Because, you know, when we're acting, especially here in Vancouver, a lot of the roles are all like CW dramatic roles.
yeah.
So do you find yourself getting to bring that personality? Or do you have to turn up that personality to play the character?
I mean, I think it's always like whatever situation you're in, right? You know, it's like Bryan Cranston says with Breaking Bad, like he's, you know, a guy in those circumstances. So, you know, I think in a scene you're yourself in different circumstances. Do I get a point?
Oh, God. My legs. It's a Monday.
You're watching Get Ripped. Get Tipped.
This is your 1 minute plug.
So follow me on Instagram, Sophia Johnson. No, Soph Town. Soph Town as in Soph is in town. I'm doing a show this Friday, but this show, it's a global pandemic, so I'm not doing. And that is not. Take away his point.
This is so hard.
That's just standing on one leg. It's a global pandemic right now, so catch me at no shows, at no clubs. But hey, keep an eye open for Zoom, kids. Because that's a medium that's taking off for comedy.
Like Zoom, just the Zoom, like the app? Or it's like a show you're doing Zoom?
Zoom shows, yeah. Okay, I already want this. I already like this.
There you have it, everybody. Sophia Johnson, get ripped, get tipped, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the show, giving the audience the tips, giving us the rips.
Thanks for losing.
Thanks for losing. You're watching Novus.
And remember, it's all about winning. Win, win, win. There's no second place in this world. You gotta win.